Hello, everybody. I am Sean.
And I'm Amber.
And we are the couple that grills together. And today we're going to talk about keto and the sugar factor. So again, we don't have a medical background. We're just telling you our experience from being on keto now for 3 months. Almost 3 months. We're just telling you our experience. One thing I can tell you is everybody's body is going to react different to different things, different ways of doing things. That's a fact. Not everybody's going to react the same way, so remember that. And as you go through this, any kind of weight loss program, you test stuff out, whether it be on purpose or not on purpose. Like the story we're going to tell you about today was not on purpose, but we found out how important sugar really is and what sugars not to have. So we've been doing keto for almost 3 months now. So about 2 months into it, the first 2 months, one of the things we changed when we got on keto was our mouthwash because we didn't want the artificial sweeteners in there. So we went with Colgate Zero. Well, we just happened to run out about the same time I had to go to the store to get some school supplies. Went to a big box store, saw some mouthwash on the end, it was on sale, was not even thinking, grabbed it. Came home, we started using that.
It was a minty mouthwash.
A minty mouthwash. So we started using that, and we noticed about 2 days into it that our weight loss had stopped, and we started to gain a little bit.
Not only that, the biggest thing was that I started going back to being hungry and not being able to fast for 20 hours the way that we had been.
Yeah, Amber's fasting went from being able to do it, and it's not that she went hangry on me again. She didn't do that, but it got to the point where she couldn't go the full 20 hours. So we didn't know what was going on because we hadn't changed the way we were doing anything that we knew of. And at that time, the fact that we had changed the mouthwash didn't hit with us at all.
We were just at a loss.
Yep, we were at a loss. We didn't know what was going on. And so we one day tried to think about different things we were doing differently, and there was nothing we could think of. And then I believe Amber, you came up to me and said, "Hey, when did we change out that mouthwash? And when did we start gaining?" So of course we weigh ourselves every day, and I have a tracker on the phone, and I believe Amber does too. So I went back. And I definitely weigh myself every day. There's some days Amber may not weigh herself. But I went back and looked. And from the date that we had bought the different mouthwash, it was 2 days later when I plateaued. And then it was like 3 or 4 days after that, started going up a little bit. Now, it wasn't a lot. But we were definitely not losing any. And we were staying right there or gaining a little bit. So we're like, is it the mouthwash? Could something as simple as the mouthwash be doing it? Now, what's in the mouthwash we bought?
It had saccharin in it, which is an artificial sweetener, but it still affects insulin and blood sugar.
Right. It's one of the ones they tell you not to have when you're on keto, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So immediately when that dawned on us, I said, I said, let's get rid of it. I went to the store, got the Colgate Zero again, and this is not trying to promote Colgate Zero by any means. I'm just telling you what worked for us and what did. I'm not going to name the one that didn't work for us, but so we went back and got the Colgate Zero and probably.
Well, we used it. We last used the minty on Friday morning.
Friday. Today is Sunday, and we're talking about Friday a week ago.
Yeah. So Friday morning, we last used the minty mouthwash.
Right.
And then Saturday morning, we used the Colgate
Colgate Zero.
On Monday morning, we had both started losing weight again.
Yeah.
And we have consistently lost weight since then. And starting on Monday, I was able to go back to my 20-hour fasting. Actually, no, it was on Sunday.
It was about
I went back to my 20-hour fasting.
It was about 48 hours from the time we switched that we were back to normal. And we were like, that's crazy. I would have never thought a mouthwash, just swishing something around in your mouth. But we talked to a couple people about it. And of course, part of the problem is you got your cheeks there, which your cheeks, anything in your mouth gets easily into the blood system through your cheeks.
Well, we had watched a keto video.
Right.
And they were talking about the fact that diabetics, whenever their sugar starts crashing, that, one of the things that you hear, people doing is putting orange juice in their mouth and swishing it around, because that sugar from that orange juice is going to go straight into the bloodstream and start raising the sugar up. And that just clicked with us, because that's exactly what happened with us with the saccharin. Obviously, we were swishing it around in our mouths, and it went into the bloodstream enough to cause an insulin spike in both of us. And most people aren't going to be affected that easily by something like that. I'm sure that we are probably a very small percentage of people that would be affected that way. But keep in mind, I do have a metabolic disorder, so that does put me in a category.
And keep in mind, my body just does everything hers does. I mean, I don't know what to tell you on that.
We have been in sync for years.
I think probably part of the reason why it probably affected us so crazy is that we have cut, before we even went on keto, we cut a lot of sugars out on a regular basis. So then when we went on keto and basically cut them all out, as far as the ones you shouldn't have, and then all of a sudden you're having one that you shouldn't have, it just probably threw us for a loop, because we'd cut them out. We're so determined to do this and do it correctly, and not just for the weight loss, but to be healthy, period. And it's working out great. But we are doing the strict keto, and so we try to stay away from stuff we're not supposed to have. And it was my fault on the mouthwash, was not even thinking. But I can promise you that won't happen again. But again, I want to talk about a little bit about some of the sugars you can have, though, because again, I don't want people to think that you can't have sweet stuff or sugar on keto. I mean, we have sugar in our coffee every day. And the main sugar we use is the monk fruit sweetener. Now this is the golden sugar, but we use
just the
regular white sugar in our coffee. But I mean, this stuff is good. And again, I will say at Home Goods, I was surprised to find out they got a whole section over there that we found. Now, of course, that won't be every time, that they had great deals on it. But the monk fruit sweetener is great. We use that, like I said, every day in our coffee. And it's a great, and it's very sweet. We love it. One of the other things Amber has used on some sweet stuff she has made is the Swerve. And that has been great.
And Swerve has, now that's the confectioner's sugar. They have the regular granular, and then they also have a brown sugar replacement as well.
Now, what was the reason you bought one thing I got to say about keto is some of the recipes you find they call for certain sugars. And a lot of these people have put a lot of time and effort into it. And the reason why they say this sugar or this kind of flour it's because that's what they used and it worked and turned out like it should. That's why a lot of times if you are looking at recipes, they'll say you could substitute it for this, but they can't promise you how it's going to turn out. Because when you're using sugars and flours like this, it does make a big difference in your baking. But we also have the
Boca Sweet.
Boca Sweet.
And Boca Sweet is made from a type of pumpkin. It is very sweet. It is more expensive than the other sweeteners. I've only found it on Amazon so far. But that one is used for things that if you're baking something and you want it to have like a gooey kind of texture, like if you were making brownies and you wanted the brownies to be gooey, then you would add some Boca Sweet in with your sweeteners. So that's the biggest difference with that, is it's going to help change the texture. And it's very good.
And that makes a difference in your brownies, let me tell you. But that's, so when you are, like I said, if you are new to keto and you're going out there and looking for recipes, definitely try to follow the recipe the first time around for what they say to use in it, because it does make a difference in a lot of the recipes. Because I can promise you, most of the people that have the recipes out, they've tried them both ways. But I will say again, 2 things that are very important on keto. Number 1, protein and fat ratio. It needs to be fat around 80. And when I say around 80, it needs to be almost at 80 or maybe a little bit more. And your protein at 20 or a little bit less. That's very, as far as what we've seen, that is very important being on keto. And the other thing I learned from buying the wrong mouthwash is how important sugar is. Getting the wrong sugar can mess you up, because to go from 2 months on keto and having a great time losing weight and everything, then all of a sudden just plateau out and then gain a little bit. I mean, since we've been back on a week, we've been back on the Colgate Zero, and we're down, I think, both 5 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
We're both down 5 pounds. Again, it's crazy that we stay in sync, but that's the way it goes, and I'm fine with it.
So we made up what we had gained back, and now we're down a little bit lower.
Right, we're a little bit lower than where we were before we plateaued. Yeah.
And I'm back to being able to do my 20-hour fast without a problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's good, because of course because it made us wonder, hey, are we losing it already? But no, it was something as simple as the mouthwash. So if you're going full on out keto, be careful with the stuff you buy. Watch out for the artificial sweeteners that you don't need. And stick to the ones that are natural. I try to stick to the natural sweets, like my wife over here. So I say, you know what, Amber? I think everybody just needs to grab some of the good sugars, like the monk fruit, the Boca, the Swerve. Grab some of the good sugars. Get with somebody that's just as sweet as can be, and have a good time, because everything's better together. I love you. Sweet pie. Good stuff.